All right, hello everyone. This is Megan Larmer from Slow Food USA, and I'm calling you from our national headquarters here in Brooklyn. It's a beautiful spring day. Thank you so much to everyone for not succumbing to spring fever and instead joining us for this conversation about Slow Food's approach to campaigns and campaigning. This is the second in our series of three calls as we talk through the strategic direction that we're implementing following our phase of strategic planning. In just a moment, we're going to be joined by Executive Director Richard McCarthy, who is going to lead us in this discussion. If you have any questions while we're talking, please make use of the chat box here in GoToMeeting. For the sake of the audio quality, since we are recording this call so that those who aren't able to dial in can listen in later, we are keeping everyone on mute, but we'll be taking questions via that chat box in your GoToMeeting panel over there. So if you enter those, we'll take note. And at the end of this brief presentation, we will have plenty of times for questions that you will take, again, via that chat box. Or if you like, you're also welcome to email them to chapters@slowfoodusa.org. That's chapters@slowfoodusa.org, and we will answer your questions there. So without any further ado, I'll hand this over to Richard.
Megan, thank you. Can you hear me okay, Megan? Great, great. Hello, everyone. Thank you for finding some time on Good Friday at the end of the week, beginning of a holiday weekend. We did want to continue to devote our time together on these monthly meetings to share with you the strategic direction and the elements of it that are beginning to take shape. I must say that since we last met, we have been moving at extraordinary velocity. Sometimes maybe you can feel and see that from where you are, sometimes you can't, but I think this is a great opportunity to share with you one of the primary planks of work that we are already beginning to invest in, a space that we have known, which is campaigns. On the screen, if you can see, you're on a computer rather than just on a phone. I'll give you an idea of how much time we have here. Whether we need the full hour and a half or hour and 20 minutes, or whether we finish early, we know that it's a holiday weekend, so we'll see how that goes. But what I wanted to share with you is, you may recall from implementing our new strategic direction that there are three areas that we're going to work, that we are devoting our resources at the national level to work on, all of which are meant to serve our strategic place in the food movement, in the food universe, and to fulfill the thing that we, I think, have always done very well, but have never really measured, which is inspiring individuals and communities to change the world through food. And as you know, that is food that is good, clean, and fair for all. Now, how we do that, you may recall that last month we talked about gatherings as a primary component of our work. The other one, which of course we have done before, of which we are known for, but of which we haven't really updated our strategy, is around campaigns. And though gatherings, we know that the amount of emotional and financial energy that will have to be devoted and driven into staging a large gathering in 2017 will consume a great deal of resources. The work that leads up to a gathering and the work that comes out of a gathering, I think, is best devoted to campaigns. So I think the campaign work does, in a way, describe the work that happens between gatherings.
I'm sorry, Richard, I'm going to interrupt you just really quickly for a bit of housekeeping. For those of you who are maybe dialing in using your telephone, if you could put yourself on mute, please, to help make it so we all can hear nice and clearly, and also help us with the audio recording on this. So if you're dialing in using your phone rather than your computer, please do go ahead and press that mute button on your phone. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Megan.
Oh, you are.
I'm now unmuted. Okay, thank you.
I meant to mute myself. Sorry, guys.
And that means even me. So if we think back to some of the really exciting highlights of our work as a national community over the last decade, there are at least three campaigns that come to mind. Time for Lunch, which was an extraordinary and in many ways groundbreaking area of work for Slow Food USA at the time of the child nutrition reauthorization. This campaign had elements of reaching out via print and email, as well as specific activities that were organized in maybe strategic cities, with and by local chapters, and it involved both online and offline activities. The Fundraising campaign, also in response to public policy, with regards to the right to film, take pictures on farms, to shed light on hearing lots of noise. Is that just, I'm hearing it on my end? Okay, I'll carry forward. I just want to make sure I wasn't crossing. The Fundraising campaign, I'm sorry, to get back to it, was an extraordinary call to action to the issue of the right to see how is our farm produced, or how is our food produced on farms. It was a very creative approach to a rather sinister public policy issue. It also was a call to action that yielded some user-generated content and beautiful images of farms, on farms where we're not fearful to show how our food is produced. I think that was certainly a highlight, and one that you can still see glimpses of in our national communications. And then the $5 challenge was another one that created a great deal of excitement around, and that provided both a communications piece as well as some physical activities. I think that, okay, so there is some background noise. Maybe we just had someone join us who's on a cell phone or driving in a car. If you can put your phone on mute, I think you have. That's wonderful. I think that'll be a little bit easier to hear. Thanks so much. Well, in drawing attention to these three past campaigns that were highlights of our work, I think there are a couple of elements that we have since learned from them. One is all of them predate the age of social media and the far more fluid jumping between different digital channels. If we were to run these campaigns today, we would be running them very differently. Farmarazzi in particular was a list acquisition campaign, acquiring people's email list because photos were uploaded. Nowadays, this is handled so differently because you can post photos. I mean, it's interesting to look at it within this time frame. Secondly, we also saw the campaigns primarily as activity that we would generate at the national level, and our thought was that all of the activity would be going through the bandwidth of the chapters, almost like a directive. And I think that yielded some great responses of, please, I want more of this, together with why do I have to do this now? We have other priorities on the ground. And I think that, you know, this is the challenge with how often do you run a campaign, what is the nature of the campaign, and what are the channels to deliver the campaign. I think that we have been giving this a great deal of thought, because these have been at both the most confrontational elements of our work inside our community, also some of our great successes. And as the landscape has shifted, I think we are hoping that we can learn from what has worked well, what hasn't, and how to stage future campaigns. And maybe in terms of the weight and the nature of how we see campaigns moving forward, it's worth remembering the September membership campaign. And I think in particular this last one, where we devoted almost all of our communication bandwidth at the national level. Because again, I think we're talking about campaigns speak to what we at the national level are best positioned to do, is to communicate, utilize digital channels, which are vast, provide collateral that you as a chapter leader would receive a box of collateral as well as a digital virtual box of collateral to use to communicate to your own communities that may overlap with the national databases. But like September, we had a very specific period of time, a specific goal, and a specific brand of what stories we were telling, what message were we telling, with what call to action. And I think that moving forward, our campaigns may look a little bit more like this. And I think the response from the network was extraordinary, seeing images that we had created for individuals and for chapters to utilize during that month, responding to different calls to action, different telephone calls. You may remember we had the national town hall call. All of that spoke to, at the national level, we are going to talk about this one issue for this month. And I think the elements of this are what we are hoping to build into future campaigns. And I think when you look at the best practices of campaigns, these are opportunities for us to utilize what we have at the national level. And this is our different channels of communication, our database, our brand, in order to present campaigns that have a particular purpose, and this speaks to the urgency of why now, what is the crisis or the opportunity around it, some very specific goals. Campaigns are often associated with fundraising. Even if they're not a fundraising campaign, you always have an ask. You also have a goal of something very tangible and easy for people to do, whether they're sitting in front of their computer, they're on their own, and this is, signatures for a petition. That's not to say that all campaigns are solely policy specific. If our purpose as an organization is to try and exert the cultural shift from fast to slow, there may be moments in time when policy can connect to some of those cultural shifts, and we would look for those. So that there may be a fundraising component, there may be a policy component, there may be a component of where I voice my support for an idea, and that we hopefully support, we report back what is the progress on these goals and the plan that gets us there. In terms of the timing, as we know, campaigns are all over the map in terms of whether they are 1 day, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months. I don't think that what we're going to be seeing is we're running a campaign every week, a different campaign. I think if anything, our extraordinary broad span of work that we do all over the country means that we could be talking about hundreds of things, hundreds of priorities. It will be difficult to narrow down what is the priority, what is the issue that either brings together many of our different pieces of our community and concerns, as well as determining that for this next month or 6 weeks or 8 weeks, we're only going to talk about this issue at the national level. We're going to be especially disciplined so that we can penetrate what is an increasingly loud and busy marketplace where we're bombarded with so many ideas. So in terms of the timing, if we looked at a typical campaign being 6 weeks in length, maybe we're running 3 campaigns a year. We know that we will have a membership campaign in September. We always have an end of year, fundraising campaigns and end of fiscal year fundraising campaigns. So I'm not wanting to distract us with those, but in terms of issue-oriented, imaginative campaigns that are meant to inspire people, these may be 2 or 3 a year. And I think we would certainly prefer to do fewer ones better than lots of them poorly. In terms of the channels, this is where online meets offline. It may be utilizing video and social sharing and things that I barely understand and do myself because I struggle with all these social media challenges personally in my life. I know that the offline stuff is often where our community gets most excited, and certainly a place where our local slow food communities can connect. And it's where physically we meet people and do things, and we hope that there would be offline elements to any campaign that we do. But I do want to stress that previous thinking around campaigns is that we direct our messages to local chapters to do things. And where we are moving is recognizing that while that may be great, and some chapters may want to do things at a certain time, join a campaign, we also have begun to recognize through the strategic planning and the research that we conducted that I think it was 57% of people who responded to our survey are not active in a local chapter and are not members of Slow Food. And yet they felt it worth the time to engage in responding to a very lengthy survey. Now, this is just one data point, but I think it's what we kind of knew was the case, is that our model, what we say slow food is for people, does not touch everyone where they are. Our hope and our theory here is that campaigns will begin to engage them and pull them in closer to our community. They will begin to become invested in our work. It may very well drive them closer to our local chapters. But this is a thought that our campaigns will begin to engage those individuals who haven't been able to figure out how to engage. So I wanted to share with you some of the sort of best practices with campaigns that we are thinking of that as we begin to move forward. Now, in terms of the timeline, there are some things we've already set in motion. Right now, we're very excited that we're deep into a search for a new director of communication and campaigns. We recognize, and I think for those of you who've seen the job description, and we've been interviewing people, and we're very excited about the candidates we have met, that the skills that they will be bringing on board are skills we've really never had in our organization, in part because the skill set that is needed for communication has changed so much. But also what will be in place is at the national level, a much more measurement-focused, disciplined, campaign-minded communication strategy. That's not to say that we won't find room and space for issues that crop up that are not part of a campaign, but that this will become, an important new sense and flavor in how we communicate. So that we hope to fill that position next month and get them up and running. We have already begun to change some of the campaign platform that we have to work with. This is our website, our social media, our email program. We have just changed to Campaign Monitor, which is a much more nimble email platform. I think it'll make this kind of work much more effective, and we will continue to prepare the website and our digital communication so that we can do this much more effectively moving forward. We are working with a national partner in the food space to conduct a market research looking at the types of people that we engage, and what are they responding to in terms of the triggers of campaigns. This is some of the science we've never had. We have good gut instincts, but there are things that we suspect we will learn, and that this will, I think, position us better to add more value to the food movement by learning how do people respond. And I think of school gardens as some of those areas that we have found some fascinating responses where people turn on or turn off to that issue. Or the more difficult, troubling question about meat is in changing behavior around meat. What are the clear triggers? These are some of the things that we hope will begin to be useful criteria for selecting future campaigns. And then if I can, so as you can see on the screen where we are with this particular work. This summer, Slow Food International will launch an international fundraising campaign, something that you may seen in different forms and fashion from Slow Food International standpoint. to link fundraising calls to those very large numbers of people on the international mailing list who are not members, who are not donors, and also link it to some very specific works of urgency. And I think that this, you'll see elements of this in our fundraising campaign that we will launch at the end of our, in April and May and June. And I think that what you'll see is elements of what is going to become more the norm as we work much more closely with the international, so that we're not running a campaign and then they're running a campaign. I would say that internationally, campaigns crop up all the time. We see them internationally, even though it may be specific to Europe or it may be specific to South America. We are going to, especially in English-speaking places, try and coordinate these around the urgency of the future of food and the importance of biodiversity. I'm really excited about that these issues are coming together, because we've often struggled with how to describe urgency with an organization whose name contains slow. So this slide with the green bars describing the forward motion with our strategic direction, we are kind of on schedule with the work that we knew would be methodical, and will take some time, and there'll be some key learning points where we can share what our findings are. Certainly we're going to be excited to share news of our new hire for our Director of Communication and Campaigns. We have been all hands on deck these last 9 months in delivering a communications messaging without having a Director of Communications. I think we will see an upgrade and greater volume coming out of our office. And I think the findings that we learn is something that I look forward to sharing with all of you. With that, I hope that I was good time-wise to give us enough time to begin to have a conversation. And you may have questions related to communications and campaigns. You have other questions that, my gosh, are just as time sensitive. So I think we've got enough room to do that. And with that, maybe I'll go mute and turn it over to you, Megan, to field some questions.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks so much, Richard, for that overview of some inspiration and things that we've done and where we're looking to go moving ahead. So this is a great time, if you are joining us via your computer, to go ahead and use that chat box function to put in any questions you may have about our approach to campaigning, what types of things you might expect to see, or any other questions that were sparked by this presentation just now. We'll see how active that space is, and we may, in the past, we've had some good luck unmuting people, so we'll see if we can do that in a little bit also. So the first question that comes in is from Zeno, and he asks, he says that it's very common for local chapters to also interact mostly with people who are not currently Slow Food members, and asks what's the difference between that and the national office. And I don't know that there is a difference. I think that is, you are experiencing the same world and population that that any of us within the slow food movement are. Indeed, most people are not slow food members. But we do think that this campaigning will give an opportunity for a much larger swath of people to be able to find a meaningful point of engagement that hopefully will lead to deeper and richer engagement as well. Sean says, when can we expect new collateral? Will it be posted? And then can we download it from the leader's site? And I can answer that, or I can pass it over to Richard if you want, either way.
Well, I'm thinking about collateral. Can you hear me? I unmuted? Okay, good. That's a great question. We know that we provided new collateral in September for the September member campaign. And I would suspect that what we will begin to provide is collateral, free collateral to chapters that are campaign specific. So there will be a campaign box that'll be going out to chapters who requested for this campaign and that lasts this long, and that it'll be very much campaign specific. In terms of us having general collateral that is just slow food collateral that's more evergreen. I would like for us to be able to provide that. I wish we had lots more collateral. I just don't know if I suspect we're going to see that campaign collateral, some of it will be evergreen. And if there is, I mean, I think it's a sort of a field test all around. If something is extremely popular and it resonates, we will produce more. We will find ways to produce and distribute more. I think that there may be an opportunity, we hope, for individuals to purchase collateral. But that speaks to the lean forward, I want to be part of this, and it's a way of tracking that. But I think as chapters, this would be something that you would get because you're a chapter, because you are our voice on the ground, and you are slow food in the community, and that collateral would come with campaigns. In terms of us, how soon will that materialize? I know that it won't happen this month or next because we're just bringing on the campaign director, in the next month. I would think the next time we would have collateral would be in gearing up for the fall or the summer. Yeah.
And I just want to jump in also and say, Sean, in the meantime, if you are looking for some downloadable collateral, the membership drive page is still live. So it's not featured on our website, but you can get to it pretty easily by Googling Slow Food USA membership drive 2015. And all of the digital assets are still there, and you can definitely still download all of those. And I would imagine that will be something we'll probably carry forward in future campaigns as well. So that if you're interested in producing some stickers or posters, you can have that design collateral to work with. All right, we're getting some great questions in here. So I've got one from Carrie Hammerschlag. Hello, great to have you on the call. She gives some really positive feedback about this, and then also asks, have we decided on any campaign topics yet? And will there be a way to engage the broader membership in prioritizing so that we can create campaigns that people are most excited about?
I think there'll be two ways for input as to what are the campaign priorities. And I think one is the market research that we'll be conducting will involve interviews, and it'll involve some very specific ways to evaluate levels of interest around issues, as well as we'll glean from it is some science as to how vast is the interest in this issue and from what demographic. And so I think that'll be one channel where the ideas will not just be coming out of a cabal of a small group of people who care about a particular issue, but we're going to use that research to really find out the things that, the other side is so good at doing, is figuring out how and why do people respond to issues. There's a science, they know what they're doing. So that will be one avenue. And then I think that with our network and our channels for conversation, especially, I think our leader Facebook channel is one where I imagine we'll be able to run some field tests, some trial balloons. It may be one-on-one in particular areas of expertise that we have in our network. It may be on these kinds of calls when we begin to field the ideas. I would say that at this point, the only thing we do know is that we don't have any preconceived notions as to what those campaigns will be. And I sure wish I knew. I have ideas about what excites me. I know what work we have done in the last since I've arrived that have reached exciting responses. But in terms of the multifaceted engagement campaigns, I'd say that the next few months are going to be exciting opportunities to engage with us to help shape what they are.
Thanks, Richard. So Zeno asks, how will campaigning contribute to helping the financial sustainability of Slow Food USA? And I think Richard did touch on this a bit. And certainly if you look to the example of our September membership drive, that would be a campaign that was uh, very directly related to fundraising. And any of you out there who are or have worked in the nonprofit world know that fundraising campaigns are one of the most common types of campaigns out there. So the goal for the campaigns that we're going to be crafting will be to create a means of engagement that leads to deeper investment. And that investment may be a financial investment, and that investment may be an investment of social capital or of time or of on the ground work. And I think that those things are not mutually exclusive. So you can expect that any campaigning we do will have an element and the ability to become a financial contributor to the organization. Um, and through creating exciting and engaging campaigns, hopefully more people will also feel bought into to be fiscal sponsors and donors to the organization as well. So I think that there's really good possibility for that. All right, keep those questions coming, you guys. We have plenty of time. I have one more from Sean, who asks if we have plans to provide any coaching or training to improve various campaigns. And I would say it's not out of the question. We haven't quite gotten that far down the road yet, but I think it's a really good suggestion. I know that one thing we have talked quite a lot about is utilizing this kind of call-in webinar platform for a broader audience, making this something that is available and promoted maybe via our social media streams and our email newsletter. To allow people into a larger conversation. And so that could be a place where we help to set talking points around a certain campaign, where we help to give tools for people to engage. But it's certainly something worth looking into. So thanks very much for that suggestion, Sean. I think that's a really good one. Okay. Oh, so Zaino wanted to clarify. He asks, will campaigns be underwritten by sponsors? I don't think that this is I don't know. I think that's not something we had added into the equation, but again, something really worth considering. So thank you for bringing that idea to the forefront. These calls are always really engaging and exciting to help gather up some of the collective knowledge of the folks who have called in as well. You're not on. Yeah. I mean, so Richard was just saying, do you want to, I'm gonna unmute him so he can so you guys can join in.
Sorry, I just started talking like I was in the room. That's a very interesting question, Zeno, about whether sponsors would be underwriting a campaign. I don't see it working that way because that sounds much more like tail wagging dog. I think the campaigns that we will be launching are the very compressed moments in which we talk about what we want to talk about. So the campaigns are about the things we care about. I think that so I don't see a sponsor, unless it's like the magic sponsor that comes out of nowhere who cares, who's sort of a mirror image of us, who cares specifically in the same tone and manner in which we care about an issue. I can't imagine that being the case. How do we bring sponsors on with a campaign? I can see that happening, but they're a little bit more like tails that are following us. But I think that per the question about our business model, and I think the sponsorship also is related to it, is that what we specifically see about campaigns from our past as well as from our recent analysis is that in order to be a Slow Food member, you are making a very deep individual commitment that I am with this group. It answers who I am. And campaigns may specifically tickle someone, excite them about an issue that they care about, that they already recognize or they come to recognize is important, and that is a new gateway into the organization and getting closer to us as Slow Food, rather than the gateway being, I am a member, now I want to learn everything that you care about. Instead, I care about this issue. Maybe I actually should have aligned myself with Slow Food. So I think that, does it replace membership fees? Well, it might. It might become an avenue for resources, much like events are an avenue for resources that don't have anything to do with whether you're a member of Slow Food. It may be that you're running with Slow Food, and that they invest their time and their name and their financial resources with us, then it does begin to shape the new business model. But no, I don't see it sort of being a campaign sponsored by like a corporate sponsor or a philanthropic sponsor. I would see them wanting to jump on board something that we've said really matters and that they support it. I'd see it more that way around.
That makes good sense to me. Thanks for helping to clarify that, Richard. So if are there any more questions about campaigning, please do send them our way. More than happy to continue discussing that. We can also open up the conversation now a little bit more broadly. If anyone has questions about uh, the upcoming Terra Madre delegate application deadline, which is March 31st, then this is a great time to be asking those, or any other questions you may have about slow food, the slow food universe, while we have a little bit of time together. Please feel free to type those in. We're going to try a quick experiment here, you guys. I'm going to unmute everybody, and so if you have a question to give, please go ahead and speak it. All right, everyone is unmuted. Any questions? Okay. Peanut Gallery, I'm going to mute you again. I have a question from Carrie. Can we give an update on what is going on with Slow Meat? So I can give a little bit of an update. We have seen a really fantastic spread of inspiration from the Slow Meat event and campaign that took place last summer. We've now seen different Slow Meat gatherings popping up everywhere from Havana in Cuba to Johannesburg in South Africa to the Netherlands. I know I'm leaving a few places out, but also Denmark. And a lot of local chapters too, also taking up the call and hosting various nose to tail menus. Or I know at the recent Slow Fish gathering, there was a boucherie that wanted to talk about where meat meets fish. So certainly, a lot of people have been inspired to take up that call and run with it. Speaking to specifically some of the groups that came out of the Slow Meat gathering who had helped to set different goals that they were trying to accomplish. Some have been more robust and more active than others. Some have been a little bit more quiet, though all of them are continuing to keep in communication via the Facebook group for the symposium. And I see things percolating here and there. The manifesto that was promised by the group working on an international slow meat campaign is in its second draft and is being circulated among various stakeholders for feedback. And we anticipate presenting that at Terra Madre Salone del Gusto this fall for people to sign on to an official ratification at the International Congress in 2017. So definitely lots of various exciting things happening, a lot of sort of unexpected outcomes, which I think has really, that experience has also helped to inform our thinking about campaigns and our thinking about gatherings moving forward and making space to tell the stories of these unexpected outcomes as well. So I hope that helps to answer the question, Carrie, and feel free to follow up if you'd like clarification on any of that. So let's see, I have a question here about the membership database, which has some problems. Can you explain the problem and hope for a solution? Well, Loretta, it is easier for me to speak to maybe specific problems that you have noticed. Keeping nice, clean data is a struggle that all large organizations are faced with. We are all in all pretty happy with our database right now. So if you are experiencing specific problems with specific members or something like this, please feel free to send a note to membership@slowfoodusa.org, and we'll follow up as quickly as we can. On the same sort of thread. Mara is asking, what's the status of the membership lists these days, and are they by request or only monthly? So that's a great question, Mara. The membership lists at this moment are by request, and we usually can get them out to you in under 48 hours. So please feel, assuming it's not the weekend, as long as we're in the office, we can usually get them out to you within about 48 hours. So feel free again to send an email anytime to either membership at or the chapters at email box to get your most recent membership lists. The reason that they are not going out on a weekly basis as they had been, or on a monthly basis as they were before that, is that the plugin that we're using with our database to generate those lists has had some glitches, specifically when lists get a little bit too large. So the lists were not working as well as we would like them to, and we've found it more productive to pull them on demand. You get a more current list than if you're looking back at a month-old list as well. We're also right now just exploring what other app or software we might want to use to pair with our database in order to produce membership lists that are more useful to all of you, that have the information that you actually want and are looking for. So if you have suggestions about that, and especially if you have examples of how you're using those membership lists to do the local organizing that you do in those communities, it will help us to figure out how to create a form that serves the needs of our widely varied chapters. So that's that update. Okay, Loretta has a question about filing taxes, and thank you very much for being ready to file your taxes. For anyone who has not listened to the nagging of our communications since January, they are due on May 15th. Please do file them. The process, it says, has changed this year, requiring a new sign up. And then she got a message, and then the person who was doing it got a message saying that the IRS was having technical difficulties, and as a result, the 2015 taxes haven't been completed yet. So I have heard that that you do have to sign up differently this year on the website than in the past. Hopefully, this should be Hopefully it should be pretty straightforward. I can't really speak to the technical difficulties of the IRS website. All I can do is suggest that maybe you try again and hope that they've had a chance to resolve them. And it's perfectly fine if you haven't yet finished your 2015 taxes. They are due May 15th, so you've got plenty of time. So don't worry about it. All right, getting lots of nice feedback, some suggestions, and we do record all of these comments. So we'll be sure to share these with our planning team here as to suggestions for different types of campaigns that are coming through. I'm going to give us about one more minute for any other new questions to come through. Please do not hesitate. And if we don't get any new questions, then I think we might call it a little bit early on this balmy spring Friday. All right, going, gone. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to call in. It really is so helpful to have the opportunity to share this with all of you, to get your feedback, and to help move through this process together. So thank you. We really appreciate it. For anyone that you work with Slow Food in your community that was not able to join this call, they can take a look at the leader resources section of the Slow Food USA website next week, and you will find the recording of this call posted there. You will also receive the link to this call in next month's leader links coming out at the end of April. So if you're not signed up for that, again, on that leader resources page of the website is the place to sign up for the leader links email. And we will be having our next call on April 22nd. So you can look forward to that. Mark your calendars now, April 22nd, 4 to 5:20. And we will be excited to spend another Friday afternoon with you. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to do a quick unmute, and let's all say ciao, shall we? Ready? Ciao, everyone.
Ciao. 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 Bye.